Welcome to the studio at ESI Africa, broadcasting from the East Africa Power Convention in Nairobi. Today I am with Jarryd Wright, who is the Regional Manager for Energy Exemplar. Welcome, Jarryd.
Thank you.
I'd like to start off with a question around your company. Why are you in East Africa? What are you doing?
Our company, Energy Exemplar Africa, is the Africa branch for our main holding company, Energy Exemplar, which is specializing in software development. We developed a software tool called Plexus, Integrated Energy Model. It's used most of the time for power system optimization, but in more recent years we've moved towards gas as well, and in a new recent release coming out in the next few months we'll be also focusing on water optimization. All of these will then be optimized together, so it's power, water and gas. We also do some consulting work, we provide training to clients, and then we also develop data sets for the various regions in Africa as well as around the world.
It's been a renewable energy track at the conference, and I believe you've been involved in that. What has excited you about what has come out of that session?
Well, in East Africa at the moment, although there isn't much solar or wind, there is other renewable resources like your hydro, like your geothermal, for example, here in Kenya. But I do foresee a lot of developments in solar and wind in East Africa. Although there are other options available, it's definitely not one option versus the other. So it's not solar and wind versus coal and gas, for example. With the trajectories that most governments are taking these days in terms of CO2 emissions, I think it's a no-brainer to pursue solar PV and wind at least, and then as well make sure that you do have the baseload power and flexible power available to back that up when the solar isn't there and when the wind is not blowing.
I think in terms of renewable energy, the biggest concern is the feed-in tariff. What are your thoughts around that, and was that discussed in any of the conference sessions?
Yes, yeah. Well, we've discussed the feed-in tariff in a few of the sessions. There's various approaches, obviously, to the way that you procure renewables in a country. Refits being one of them, so your renewable energy feed-in tariffs. Other approaches which some countries have taken, for example, in South Africa, is the auction approach, where you have competitive auctioning of the renewables capacity. But feed-in tariffs really do help to incentivize developers to come into countries and really build the capacity that the country wants in terms of solar and wind. Specifically, those two resources. I think there's a lot of potential in Africa, a lot of resources available.
In terms of integrated optimal energy, what are the benefits around that?
Yeah, well, what we do as Energy Exemplar is what we try and do is develop a tool that allows you to do that. So it allows you to take an integrated approach to energy planning. So it's not just looking at the electrical side of things, it's not just looking at gas, it's not just looking at water, it's looking at the overall energy system, considering maybe in the short term or medium term or long term what requirements the country may have, and looking at all of that in one integrated environment. So whether you look at one or the other by themselves, or you look at all of them in totality, it's really important to make sure you take an integrated approach to all of those in one environment. And obviously the one tool that can do that is our tool Plexus. There are others, but of course we think it is one of the best, yes.
So can you give an example of a project that you've been involved in?
Yes, well, coming up in the next few months, we'll be likely to be involved in a Southern African Power Pool master plan, which will look at long-term energy planning for the Southern African region. So that will be integrated assessment of the various generation resources that are available in each of the countries, the transmission interconnectors between each of those countries, and what is the best approach to take in terms of generation development based on the specific demand forecast, as well as the interconnections between all of those countries to make sure that all resources are actually pooled together, and you can make sure that the electricity price that's then experienced by end users is lowest cost.
You've mentioned that there is considerable resources in terms of renewable energy, yes. Wind and solar, but one of the particular challenges is energy storage. What innovations do you see happening in that particular problem?
Yeah, there's many applications for energy storage. Obviously the most well-known technology is pump storage. It's been used widely around the world, but more recent developments in battery technologies, more recent developments in flywheel technology, and even compressed air can be used as energy storage technologies for applications. The main usage for that I foresee is managing the intermittency and variability of solar PV and wind resources. Although at the moment the cost is probably a little bit too high, but you do need to start somewhere, and you need to perhaps provide some incentives in some areas to make sure that they can be deployed, and then there might be some good case studies that will come out of that to then provide a platform for those technologies to really drive into the African continent.
And what is your message to attendees here at the East African Power Convention?
My message would probably be to make sure that whatever you do, make sure you plan optimally. Whatever you have already, make sure you use it in the most optimal way and efficient manner, and ensure that you don't waste, I guess. That's all.
I think that is a very key message, don't waste.
Yeah.
This is ESI Africa, broadcasting from the East Africa Power Convention. Thank you for watching.